First, I want to apologize for being absent over the last 2 weeks. I was on holidays, though. I was on vacation, so I needed to unplug as much as possible because I had a lot of other production stuff I was still working on, despite the fact that I was on vacation. It's just how sometimes life goes sometimes. My travel plans were scuttled, so as a result, I stayed in town and did some puttering about and went on a few hikes, did some stand-up paddleboarding, spent some time with a good buddy I haven't seen in a few years. You know, that whole pandemic thing. And it was good. Back to work today, in the office tomorrow. So slowly getting back onto the horse and prepared to ride it. Because let's face it, when you're away for 3 weeks like I was, you want to slowly ramp up. And thankfully it wasn't so incredibly busy today that, I wasn't heavily impacted by the workload today. And I'm thankful for that because, you take time off, you want to ease back in. This is, for those of you who are curious, this is Sober Carpenter. It's a non-alcoholic IPA out of Montreal. It's very, very good. Non-alcoholic craft beer. Very good. Tastes like an IPA. I quite like it. Not punch you in the face IPA, but just enough to hint of it to let you know that it truly is an IPA. So, I had, I had time off. Had a few, a few rough days, which is, few rough weeks, actually. It got a little bit worse as time went on. But thankfully, I have a very understanding and compassionate and patient partner. She was there for me. So I count myself to be lucky. I know not everybody has that. And I honestly didn't think I'd ever have it again. Because this disorder can... What does that do that? Please be ready to start a show at 9:30 when it's 9:35. It's annoying. Yeah, I never thought I would have somebody in my life again. I knew I'd date. Dating isn't difficult. Anybody can get a date anytime. I just didn't know I'd have a partner again, and I do, so I count myself as very lucky. That doesn't mean everything is great in life, because I still have, struggle with both depression and anxiety. And it hits me at the oddest times. I can't really do anything about it or control it. It just, there it is. It hits hard, and it, it can take its toll on you, both emotionally and physically. And when you have things scheduled and you don't know if you're capable of carrying them out, it makes getting through the day very, very difficult. So I had a few rough days, but I made it through, as always. The anxiety days are the worst, though. They're far worse than the depressed days. Just don't allow you to have a clear thought or a relaxing thought, because, your heart is racing, your brain is racing, you feel like you've had 19 cups of coffee, but you can't make a decision to do anything. And it's not a positive energy. It's very much a negative energy, because it just zaps you of everything. You're physically exhausted, but because your mind and heart are racing, you can't sleep. And all you want to do is sleep, is to get through it. That, isn't always the case, that you can sleep through it. And in my case, I never can. And, I don't recommend self-medicating. Sometimes I do. Because, let's face it, when nothing else is working, when breathing exercises don't work, when you're incapable of meditating, and when you come to the realization that if you don't calm this down, you're going to really, really suffer for it. So you go for a walk, do some breathing exercises, you talk to a friend, you listen to some music, you find something to distract you from what you're thinking about. In my case, I just went to the pub, sat at a table and read, had a couple of drinks, was able to calm myself, and I'd be doing the breathing exercises while I sat there. I'm not ashamed of it, you know. When I go through anxiety, I will fully admit, say, oh, I'm having a full-blown anxiety attack right now, and I will say it in this voice, and people will look at me and go, don't look like you're... I go, no, of course I don't, because I've spent a lifetime trying to hide it. So that's my default mode, is to hide that emotion, hide what I'm going through. I don't know if that's healthy or unhealthy. I know it makes... I guess the reason I do it, other than, you know, the youthful stigma that would be attached with you're crazy. Have you lost your mind? Yeah, I actually am kind of in that boat. But I find that one of the things that I tend to hide it because I just don't know how else to deal with it, honestly, truthfully. But I find the other thing is, when I first admitted to it many, many years ago, everybody around me became really uncomfortable. So that taught me to hide it, to spare other people's level of comfort. And as a result, I've been doing it ever since. And it wasn't so much that I admitted what was going on as much as I just said I'm having an incredibly anxious moment. So the folks I said that to just were really uncomfortable. So I never talked about it again. Until I did. That was many, many years later. 30 years later, actually. And I remember having an anxiety attack in a bar with a group of friends. Wasn't sure what was going on. Somebody's like, you're having a panic attack. I don't know what's going on. And everybody kind of freaked out. So, yeah, I didn't talk about it again for decades. And that's fine. I can't get upset by the past, because the past is just that, past. All I can do is, concentrate on the future and living the best possible life I can and treating those around me with kindness and compassion. Whoops, sorry, just adjusting my camera. That's all I can do. And yes, it does, it takes effort to put on a happy face all the time. More effort than you might realize at the time. Maybe not, I don't know. It's my default, so I don't know how else to do it. Also, you need to understand the time that I grew up in the 80s, where we were taught to never show those emotions. Never show them, because it makes other people uncomfortable. Never show the emotions because you're a man, you should be strong. Never show those emotions because, nobody wants to see them. Which I certainly still believe to be true. However, I would like to think that generally society has become a lot more compassionate and empathetic. Let's face it, I don't think there is a soul on earth that will never be touched by a mental health issue of some type, whether it's them personally or a family member, a colleague, a loved one, a relative, who knows. We will all be touched by it in some way, shape, or form. You've definitely encountered somebody in your lifetime that battles any one of a number of issues, and that's never going to end. And as a result, I think society has become a fair bit more empathetic and compassionate to those of us who battle these demons. And now that people feel a little bit more comfortable with expressing it. I know the younger generation certainly is, and thankful for that. I bless them for that, because that helped me. The Gen Z kids helped me to come out of my shell and talk about what was going on with me. And they were just so matter-of-factly about it, like it was no issue. The young man I was working with said, well, I have ADHD. I went, oh. He goes, and I suffer from depression, and I'm borderline autistic, but I take my medication, and I do these exercises, and I was kind of like shocked at how matter-of-fact he spoke about this. I think you're right, just lately. It does make people uncomfortable, because they oftentimes don't want to deal with the mental health issues in their own lives. I think you're absolutely bang on like that. Yeah, Mikhail, I was around the same age, actually, around 21 the first time I had one. And I didn't know what was going on. And it was visual, because the first time that happens to you, you can't hide it. Now, the thing is, I definitely had anxiety long before that, but I never had a full-blown anxiety attack before. I had it when I was a child. I know where it came from, what it stemmed from. But I never had a full-blown meltdown panic attack before, and when I did, I didn't know what was going on. Thankfully, I had somebody who knew what it was, and they recognized it, and it freaked the hell out of everybody else around us. They said, yeah, you're having an anxiety attack, also known as a panic attack, but it's just, they explained, well, they were a med student, so they explained to me what it was, and I was like, oh, okay. They're like, you should go talk to your doctor. So I did. And she offered to put me on medication at the time, and I said, well, no, I don't really want to do that. Because I wasn't fully on board with psychotropics at the time. And also, at the age of 21, that's some pretty powerful medication to put into your brain when your frontal lobes haven't fully formed. So, yeah. Although I do know that sertraline gets often prescribed to children at quite a young age. And that's a powerful drug. They do it on very tiny dosages, and in many cases it's absolutely necessary. In other cases I question if it is at all. Oh, Enigma, yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, your mom gets concerned when you stop putting on a happy face. You don't want to tell her that, it's how you feel all the time. I can fully identify with that. I've long since had that conversation with my mom about it, and she was like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, Mom, you didn't know any better. You didn't know what I was going through, and you handled it the best way you could, so it's fine. It's fine. And here's the best thing, though. When you know better, you do better, and both my parents have really read volumes about both anxiety and depression to try and understand it better, to understand what it is I go through. And I'm very open with them about it. I talk about it frequently because I need them to know where my head is at, And when the pandemic first began and everything started to shut down, my mother was, very worried about me, obviously. She's my mother. And she had called and said, are you okay? Do you need us to come over? I was like, no, Mom, I'm fine. I had just started on the medication about 4 weeks prior. I picked the best possible time in the world to start Zoloft. Like, I really did. Who knew? Yeah, just serendipity, as the saying goes. And it's made a tremendous difference in my life. Not every day is golden. I have my down days. I have my days where I'm just physically exhausted, but at least I'm not anxious all the time, and I don't hate myself all the time. So I'll count that as a win, right? I have more good days than bad days. Some days I'm just physically exhausted. And I do listen to my body now because at my age, I think it's important to do so, because if you don't, well, bad things can happen. I do have a Discord server, Enigma. I'll see if I can find it for you here and put it in the chat. Don't know where my link is, but I do have one. Maybe what I'll do is I'll post it later in the description once I find it, so you can check it out. Miss Sadeka, yes. That is a truthful thing. Having your children see your vulnerability will help them cope with their own issues. And like I said at the top of the show, the chances are that you never, either yourself, never directly experience anxiety or depression at some point in your life is slim to none, but you will encounter a mental health issue, whether it's you personally or a family member or a friend or a loved one or a colleague or whatever the case may be. Mental health touches every single human being that walks and breathes. Well, how about this? Let me rephrase that. Let me take the walks out. Let me walk that back. Bad pun, I know. Mental health issues affects every human being on earth, period. That's it. That's it. To say walks is very ableist of me, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that guy. Everybody who breathes, everybody on earth is affected by mental health issues. Whether it's directly, indirectly, you are affected by it. And here's the thing that a lot of people fail to realize. You know, a lot of people are affected by mental health issues in such a negative manner that, and they might not even know what the issue is. They might not realize that they have a problem, and oftentimes that is the case. An undiagnosed mental health issue. It may make them a very angry, hateful person. And I feel compassionate towards that person. If, as I've said many times before, you are welcome to come here and sit in the chat and discuss your mental health. No politics, no religion. None of the bad isms are allowed here. And everybody, I don't care what your walk of life is. I don't care where you've come from. I don't care what your religion or political beliefs are. I want you to park that at the door when you come here. Because when you come here, this is meant to be a place where we can chat amongst ourselves and try and heal one another in the chat. And I can provide you some soothing words and a calming voice. At least that's my goal. I hope I can succeed at that, in providing you some wisdom, maybe some insights, and a little bit of relaxation along the way. If I can get you to just breathe and relax, I think your day can get a little bit better, and maybe you can end your evening in a calm, blissful manner. At least that's my goal. That's my hope. Oh, that is a very tasty non-alcoholic IPA. Much kudos to Sober Carpenter. IBU of 42. International bitterness units is what that means. The higher the number, the more bitter it is. And that's a genuine tasting IPA with no alcohol. Because I don't want any alcohol this evening. Believe it or not. As much as I love beer, sometimes I just want the taste of it. I don't want the alcohol. I don't drink soda. And I very rarely ever drink sweet fruit juices or anything like that. So yeah. Non-alcoholic beer. Oh, thanks, Enigma. It's very kind of you to say. I do my best to try and provide a calm sensibility, a calming presence. Hence you can see the candle burning above my head, which is melting the 150-year-old beeswax with honey, so it's just a lovely scent. And the pink accent lighting. This is another camera here, but I can't seem to, even though it is operating, it's not producing an image right now, so let's put that out of the frame. But I'm happy to provide a space here for people to come in and just chill out, relax. And yes, non-alcoholic beer. Yes, just lately it does get better all the time. It really does. I wish I had more non-alcoholic Guinness because I love Guinness. But it's not available in Canada yet, unfortunately. But I'll venture down to Plattsburgh in a couple of weeks and stock up. And here's the best part. They don't even charge you duty because it's not alcohol. It's the same as buying a case of Coca-Cola as far as they're concerned. So that works out pretty cool, I think. Well, my friends, once again, I want to apologize for being away for a couple of weeks. I needed to unplug and check out. It was my vacation, and I intended to record some content for you. And then when I found out I couldn't go anywhere, I thought, well, I'll just do live shows. And then when the Mondays came around, I was like, I don't have it in me today. I'm too tired. I'm exhausted. I've been out running the roads and doing things. And you know how it is necessary to unplug from absolutely everything from time to time. Pardon me. Andrew, we've not scheduled the next pubcast yet. We're gonna. I think he wanted to do something this weekend, but I'm gonna be camping with my lady, and I think Douglas has something else on the go. So we had kicked around this idea, but we'll probably middle of August. I'm thinking we'll do our next show. Might take it on the road, but we haven't confirmed yet. We've been both incredibly busy, especially when you consider I was on vacation for 3 weeks. I've been unbelievably busy. Although, admittedly, because I was in town, oftentimes when you take a vacation, the reason I take 3 weeks, last year I only took 2 and I should have taken 3. I find the first week you take a few days to sort of decompress and get work behind you and out of your head. Even though you're not there, you're still sort of in that pent-up work mode. And if you've taken a trip somewhere, you might leave on the very first weekend and maybe you're jet lagged wherever you arrive. So that's exhausting and you're still trying to decompress, but you're excited to be where you are. When you get home, oftentimes people would, spend as much time in a place as they could and come home at the very last minute and then go to work the next day. I find that to be a bad idea. The last big trip I took, I came home 5 days early actually, while I was in India. So I needed a few days to recover from the jet lag and at the same token sort of wind out the trip, because I find traveling, as much as I love to do it, there's stress and anxiety and part of it. I'm always sort of anxious, definitely anxious while in the airport. I'm very chill, I'll have a beer, I'll relax, but I'm anxious until I get on the flight and I'm seated. Then it's like, okay, I can relax till we land, and then it's like, okay, get into the airport, get to the luggage, get to this, get to the place where you're going. That's anxiety-inducing. Not an incredible amount of anxiety, mind you, but just enough to say, hi, I'm right here. So I find when traveling abroad, when you come home, try and come home a few days early, 3, 4, in my case 5, because of the incredible time delay and jet lag that I had from it. And going somewhere is, tiring. The lag is there. Coming home, flying east to go somewhere, you'll need a day or 2 to recover, but you're going to get adjusted very quickly. Flying west, coming home, ouch. Oh, it takes days. And you feel like somebody beat the hell out of you. It's worth it. It's worth it every single time. But I find it takes a few days to recover physically and emotionally. And I say emotionally because, your trip is over and you got to get ready to go back to work. And that can induce a little bit of anxiety, right? The whole, I got to go back to work. Even though I'm rested and relaxed and ready to go back to work, still that little bit of anxiety. Well, this time, because I was home for 3 weeks, unlike my last vacation where I was sick for the first week, I couldn't go anywhere. I was very healthy the entire time, physically anyway. Emotionally is another story altogether, but I had a couple of days to just chill before I had to go back to work today. And as I said, today was work from home day. Tomorrow I'll be in the office, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing my colleagues because I quite enjoy them. So yeah, it's kind of where my headspace is at right now. I'm doing much better than I was about a week ago, and I don't know how long this will last, but I'm going to enjoy it for as long as I can. And unless I'm in a really dark place, I will continue to be bringing you this content every Monday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until we meet again, my friends, I will bid you adieu. I hope you are healthy and happy wherever you are in this world, wherever you're watching from, whenever you're watching this, because there are people who love to join for the live feed, and others who, due to time zones, can't necessarily find the time to watch it. And I understand that 9:30 on a Monday Eastern Standard Time could be quite late, depending on where you are in the world, or early enough that it conflicts with your schedule. So, I dig it. I'm going to say goodbye now. I'll bid you adieu until we meet again, which will be next Monday. I don't even know what the date is. It doesn't matter to me. But next Monday at 9:30 p.m., I will be here to provide you with some more content. Until then, take care. Bye.